Hello, you all learners. A warm welcome to Great Learning. If you are someone who wants to pursue a career in management and are constantly updating your knowledge in the field of management, you have hopped onto the right video. Today, in this video, we are going to discuss the 14 principles of management which are really important when you are considering a career in management. So, without any further delay, I am Edwin Thomas and let's get started with the video on the 14 principles of management.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoy this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video for any queries or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments.
So now let's talk about the agenda or the topics that we are going to cover here today, right? So first topic that we are going to cover here is what is management. Now, under this topic, we'll be covering what is management, and only then, if you understand what is management, you will be able to relate to the 14 principles that we are going to discuss here today, right? So, first topic is to clear out what is management, and we will be giving a proper definition to you. And with that help, you will be able to understand what exactly is management. Then we'll be moving ahead with the functions of management. So under this topic, we'll be covering five functions of management. The five functions will be properly told to you, and so that you can actually understand and grasp what exactly are the five functions of management. Then moving on, we'll be discussing the three different levels of management. So here we'll be discussing the top level management, the middle level management, and the low level management. Understanding each and every level, what is the importance that each level has, and what are the roles and responsibilities that each levels of these managements are actually responsible for. So after that, we'll be moving to our main topic, that is the 14 principles of management. Here we'll be discussing the all 14 principles individually with examples, with explanations, and we'll make sure that you have the clear idea of each and every principles by heart, right? So you don't even have to by heart it, actually you will actually understand each and every one of them so clearly that it will get feeded in your minds, right? So let's move ahead. All right, guys. So now let's first discuss the topic that is having the main keyword, that is management. So what is management? Let's read out the definition that's on our screens, right? The coordination and the administration of tasks to attain a goal is referred to as management. Setting the organization strategy and organizing employee efforts to achieve these objectives by applying available resources are the examples of administrative activities. Now, let's subdivide these definitions to understand it more clearly. Now, in a one simple line, it's written that the coordination and the administration of tasks to attain a goal is referred to as management. Now, the coordination means the coordination amongst the people, the coordination amongst the senior management, the lower management, and the employees. So, only when there is a coordination amongst the people, the company survives, right? Now, coming to administration of tasks. So, there are some tasks that is given by the senior management to the lower management, and these lower management people would actually translate it to the employees or the workers that is below them. So, in this way, the administration of tasks is basically to achieve a single goal, and these two both combined together is what is known as management. Now, let's move ahead with the definition. Setting the organization strategy and organizing employee efforts to achieve these objectives by applying the available resources are examples of administrative activities, right? So basically, in an organization, the top level management will be setting the organization strategies, and then with the help of the lower management, they'll be actually organizing the people to in fact obtain the certain goal that is being strategized by the top level management. So only and until the goal is achieved is when the company actually receives the revenue or the profits, right? So that's how the coordination and the administration and then the organizing the employees' efforts to achieve the objectives with the available resources helps in the administrative activities. So now with that, I think that you might have gotten a clear idea of what exactly is management for you. So now, moving forward, we are going to discuss about the functions of management. And on your screens, you have the top 5 functions of management that are planning, organizing, leading, staffing, and controlling. Now, we'll be discussing each of these functions individually, starting off with planning. Now, planning is the most basic function in a management because it deals with predicting the future, forecasting the future, and understanding and deciding in advance what is the course of action that need to be taken place, right? So planning is the most basic function. Now, planning actually answers different questions like how to do, when to do, and what to do. And it also answers the question which bridges or answers all the different varieties of question, that is, what are we now and what we want to be, right? So these kind of questions will actually is answered by planning. Now, planning is necessary because it ensures the proper utilization of human resources and non-human resources. Now, every company wants its resources to be properly utilized, and that makes planning one of the most important functions in management. Now, moving ahead with the next function of management, that is organizing. Now, as you can see in the image itself, you can see a person so well organized, taking his files from his folder and then again replacing it in his folder. You can see that's the meaning of organizing, right? But when you come into a business and an organization, organizing means building a healthy relationship or a beautiful relationship among the teams or the different departments that work among each other to build or to achieve the same organizational goals. Now, organization not only involves the building the relationship, it also involves everything from getting the raw materials, the tools, capitals, etc. Now, the main functions of organization basically deals with the classification of duties, identification of activities, and then also the delegation of authority and creation of responsibility. So this is why organization plays a major function in management. Now, moving ahead with the next function of management, that is leading. Now, leading is basically a part of a management that drives the organization to work efficiently. Now, in most of our lives, there are some cases wherein we require some advices or we need to require some direction to actually take a step ahead to move forward or to come out of anything, right? So that's exactly what function leading plays for an organization. So leading basically involves guiding, supervising, motivating the subordinates to actually achieve the organization's goal. So that's how leading plays a very important role in a management. Now, moving ahead with the next function of management, that is staffing. Now, you guys tell me what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the term staffing? Now, let me tell you what comes to my mind when I hear the term staffing. So, the first thing that comes to my mind is getting all the stuff and keeping it to yourself so that I could actually sit and eat something in the night while watching a movie. So, these kind of stuff that I get gather when I go to the shop and buy, or when I sneak into the kitchen and get it and keep it to myself. And these things actually keeps me running while watching a movie. So, the same thing happens in terms of organization. In order to run an organization, you need people, right? So staffing is basically manning the organization. So the main purpose of staffing is to get the right person for the right job. So staffing basically includes the placements, recruitment, selection, promotion and transfer, training and development, and a lot more roles and responsibilities. So that's how staffing plays a very important function of a management. Now, coming to the last function of management, that is controlling. Now, controlling is basically the measurement of accomplishment. The purpose of controlling is to ensure the organizational achievements or the organizational goals. Now, if you had to explain controlling in simple words to a 5-year-old kid, it can go by like Controlling is checking or evaluating the progress that is made to achieve any particular goal or objective. So with that, you have got an understanding of controlling, and also we have covered all the five major functions of management. All right, guys. So now that you have understood the five different functions of management, let's move ahead and discuss the different levels of management. Now, the different levels of management are categorized into three: the top level, middle level, and the low level. Now, let's take up each level individually. Now, talking about the top level of management, it consists of the board of directors, the chief executing officer, or the managing director. Now, these people are the ultimate source of power and authority, and they mostly work on strategic planning and execution of their overall business success. Now, their roles and responsibilities fall as laying down broad policies and responsibilities for their business enterprises and communicating to the outside world, that is, by communicating to the shareholders regarding the performance of their business enterprise. And then, third, majorly, they appoint and train the lower or the middle level of management in order to achieve the or train in order to groom them to achieve the organization's goals or the business enterprises goals. So these are the most important roles and responsibilities of the top level of management. So now let's talk about the middle level of management. Now the middle level of management basically consists of the branch manager or the department manager, and these people are mostly accountable to the top level of management for their performances and the responsibilities of the department they are supervising on. So they basically devote a lot of time into the organizational and directional functions. Now, their roles and responsibilities can be laid as executing the plans in accordance with the policies and the directives that is laid down by the upper management, participating in the hiring process, and then interpreting and explaining the policies from the top level of management to the lower level of management, then also submitting reports in a time and effective manner regarding the performance of their department. Then we have the evaluation of the junior managers that come under them. So these are the major roles that middle level of management take cares of. So now talking about the low level of management. Now the low level of management basically consists of the people like the supervisor or the section officers. Now the low level of managers are basically responsible for the execution and the day-to-day workflow. Now basically they have to ensure that the completion of projects are done and also the deliverables are met. Now their roles and responsibilities follow as assigning jobs and tasks to the workers, instructing and guiding the workers on day-to-day activities, then also overseeing the quality and the quantity of the production that is done, maintaining healthy or good relationship with the lower levels of organizations, then also acting as a communicator or a mediator for the problems that are faced by the workers to the higher management, then finally improving the enterprise image because of their direct contact with the lower levels of workers. So with this, we have covered the different levels of management and also understood what kinds of roles and responsibilities does every level of management play in an organization. All right, guys. So now that you have covered all the previous topics like what is management, the functions of management, and the different levels of management, I believe that you guys are in a correct state of mind to actually grasp the 40 principles of management that is given by Henry Fayol. Now, these 14 principles were given by Henry Fayol through his experiments and research that was done with the managers of that time. So he actually worked with the managers, and according to the output that was given from the managers, he quoted down these 14 principles. Now, these 14 principles are really, really helpful to all the new managers who have a team under them or who are actually having to control a good number of team under them. These 14 principles are going to be really, really helpful. So coming to the first principle of management, that is division of work. Now, Henry Fayol actually stressed on the point of division of work, saying that segregation of work or the subdivision of work makes it simpler and results in more efficiency. Now, what is Henry Fayol trying to bring out here? Now, the point what he wants to bring out here, I'll be explaining you with an example. Now, consider an organization, and there's a manager, and he's having some 10 to 20 people under him working for on certain projects. Okay, so now a manager is trying to assign tasks to all the people who is working under him. So he's giving a general task to all the people. Now, consider the situation of one of the member who is under the tutelage of this manager, right? So that one person has one field of expertise, but the manager is assigning general tasks onto him and all the others who are having different fields of expertise. Now, what is happening here is that person, that one person who is given these tasks, actually has to learn the other task that is being provided to him. He has to first learn it and then complete it. Now, if he was given any task that is in his field of interest, then he would have just finished that work in a snap, right? So now what is actually happening is a lot of time waste in learning the process and then actually executing it. So that's why first, the segregation of work should be done based on their field of interest, and the subdivision of work actually makes it simpler and results in the efficiency. Now, while we do the subdivision, when we are giving the certain task to the person who is in that particular field, the speed actually increases and the accuracy of the work also increases because that particular person will be the expert in that field and he will already have the knowledge about that task that is given to him. And so automatically the speed increases, and due to his experience in working with that kind of expertise, he will be also more accurate than other people who is around in his team. So that's why Henry Fayol actually stressed on the first principle of segregation or the division of work. Now, coming to the second principle of management, that is balancing authority and responsibility. Now, both authority and responsibility coexist together. And why have I put in a weighing balance on the side is because both authority and responsibility needs to be in balance. Now, if a person is given the authority, he must be also given the responsibility. Now, authority means the right to superiors, and responsibility means the obligation to get the task assigned done, right? Now, authority without responsibility leads to irresponsible behavior, and a responsibility without authority actually makes the person ineffective. Now, you need to understand that statement very carefully. Authority without responsibility. If you're actually given a lot of power and you're not responsible for anything, so basically you try to misuse the power. That is the kind of situation that actually happens and leads to irresponsible behavior. Now think of a situation that you are given a lot of responsibility, but you have not given the authority. Now, for each and everything that you have to do, you'll have to take permission from your superior, right? That makes the person ineffective. So that's why responsibility without authority makes the person inactive, right? So that's what the second principle is talking about. Now, coming to the third principle, that is discipline. The first point says discipline is considered a part of a management. Now, not only talking about discipline as a principle of management, think about the situation where it is applicable everywhere. Discipline is actually applicable everywhere, to be honest, like in the field of music, sports, management, corporate life, career, in your personal life. Discipline is very much important. If you don't have a discipline in your particular field, maybe it's sports or singing, you won't get your perfect performance out unless and until you have the discipline in your career or in your field of interest. It won't be your best performance that you're giving. So discipline in management, discipline is considered to be a part of the management. Now, the sincerity, obedience, respect of authority, these are the things that you're getting trained from your school days, in your college days. These are the things that you are getting trained on. So this is a principle that you should own when you're getting into a managerial position. Now, observance of rules and regulation of enterprise. Now, this is something that every company differs. Now, each company has its own rules and regulations, and you will have to follow their rules and their policies according to them. So, there will be some managers who will be telling you regarding these rules and policies, or there will be your colleagues who will be explaining these rules and policies to you, and you will have to abide to them. So, that's how discipline plays the comes in the third principle of management. Now, moving ahead with the next principle of management, that is unity of command. Now, the first point says one boss for one employee. Now, this point implies that any worker in an organization must only have one boss to whom he is supposed to or is obliged to update on his tasks or any issues that is related to work. So basically, he should only have one reporting manager instead of multiple reporting managers. Now, a subordinate should not receive instructions from more than one person. Henry Fayol actually stressed upon this point because when a subordinate receives multiple instructions from different people, it creates a lot of confusion, it overlaps efforts, it duplication of works happens, and delay and chaos happens. Now, why is he actually stressing upon all this is because one person says the work to be done in one similar way and the other person says it to be done in different way. When this happens, there is a lot of confusion. Now one manager might have said some other person to get this done and the other manager might tell him to complete the same work. So that's how overlapping of effort takes place and the duplication of work also might take place. And while overlapping and duplication of works takes place, there is a lot of delay and there is a lot of chaos. So that's why Henry Fayol actually kept a stern point that a subordinate should not receive instructions from more than one person. Now, coming to the next principle of management, that is unity of direction. The first point, the vision and the mission of the organization must be clear to all the employees and must work towards it to accomplish it. Now, if you have understood something out of this definition, well and good. But I'll now explain it to you guys in a very simpler way using an example. Now, there is a 100-meter race that is supposed to happen, and there are eight competitors that is actually racing for the first place. Now, all these eight candidates must be told that you will have to run a 100-meter race in this direction to in order to win the first place, right? Now, if you don't tell the candidates to tell in this particular direction, uh, eight of the candidates can go in eight different 100-meter course lanes, right? So, first four of them can run 100 meter in the north, south, west, and east directions. The other four can run in the northwest, southwest, northeast, northwest directions. All the eight of them are running the 100-meter race, but until and unless you tell that person to run in this particular direction and cross this line mark, only then they will understand that all the eight candidates must run in that particular direction to achieve their goal. So that's the only objective that is being given out from this point, that the vision and the mission of the organization must be clear to all the employees. Because until and unless the vision and mission and the vision are clear to employees, they won't work towards it, right? So when these the projects they are working on are actually helping in achieving these missions and visions, the people will actually have a goal to achieve these, right? Now, coming to the second point, that is the unity of command. Unity of command is not possible without the unity of direction. Now, what is this point stating? Now, unity of command is something that we discussed earlier, that there should be only one person that one employee should update to, right? There's like one reporting manager. That's the simple thing that we talked about in unity of command. Now, unless and until you have unity of command, there is no unity of direction. Because when unity of command is broken, there are so many people to actually report. So there is a lot of delay, chaos, and this unity of direction is broken, right? And this goes in the same way when unity of direction is not there, there is no unity of command. So both unity of command and unity of direction need to be in align to accomplish the organization's goal. Now coming to the next principle, that is subordination of individual interest to general interest. Now in order to understand this principle, I have put down 3 points that will actually help you to understand this point even better. Now, interest of one or one group should not prevail over general interest. Now, there will be some circumstances wherein your general manager or manager will ask you for some opinions. So, your opinion might be in one view and group that will be having a different opinion, and there will be an opinions on general interest. Now, as a manager, you must take up the opinion from a general point of view. Like if the opinion of particular group or one single person is actually good, but it only benefits that single person or group, he shouldn't actually prioritize his opinion over the general public's interest. Okay. Now, reconciliation should be achieved between individual and group of interest. Now, as a manager, you try to go on with the general public's interest. Now there will be some conflict or some heat between the people who are actually having different opinions apart from the other general public, right? So you need to actually reconcile and make them understand that what were the reasons to choose that particular opinion over to their own opinions, right? So reconciliation should be achieved amongst the individual and the group interest. Now, coming to the last point, that is organizational goals should never be disrupted by the interest of the any group or any individual. Now, as a manager, you should always think on an organization's perspective. Organization's goal should be achieved, not actually helping the any personal motive to gain any potential, right? So you should always keep your organizational goals first and then your personal goals next, right? So if you actually start prioritizing any personal opinion or personal group opinion over any general public's interest, it will actually start sabotaging their organizational goals and you will end up in a lot of more trouble by not completing your tasks, right? So that's the principle that is talking about the subordination of individual interest to general interest. Now, coming to the next principle of management, that is remuneration. Now, for those of whom you don't know what remuneration is, it's just the salary that you're getting paid or the amount of money that you're getting paid for your job. Now, if you have to talk about an actual corporate work, the salary that you receive should be fair, reasonable, satisfactory, and also rewarding. Now, in many jobs, there is a variable factor that comes into the salary. That is, there is a fixed salary that is fair, reasonable, and satisfactory, and there's a variable factor that plays the role of rewarding. So basically, when you have that variable factor, the employees try to thrive and work more to actually receive this amount as a reward, right? So next that we have is provision of another benefits like free education, medical allowances, residential allowances, etc. Now, companies usually provides benefits to attract good employees to their companies. So, for like free education is like learning for life. So basically, they provide free good amount of money to upskill themselves. Then they give medical allowances for them and their family, and then they have residential allowances. For example, if that employee is out of his hometown or of his native place and he'll have to shift his location, they usually provide some residential allowances so that it will be easy for him to shift from his own house or his native place. Then the last point that makes actually sense is that as far as possible, it should be satisfactory and logically appropriate. Now, the main intention of remuneration is basically to satisfy the employee for this job he is doing, and it should be logically appropriate regarding to their business. So that's how the principle of remuneration works. So the next point that we have here is centralization. Centralization refers to the concentration of authority at the top level. Now, centralization depends on a number of factors like the size of the business, the experience of the superiors, etc. Now, for example, take Great Learning itself. Now, Great Learning was recently acquired by Byju's, right? So the upper management of Great Learning were actually seeking for investors, and they actually took up their decision to get acquired by Byju's with a lot of investment and the growth potential. So these kind of decisions are actually taken by the top management, only the top management, and that is what is known as centralization, where the concentration of authority is at the top level of management. Now, coming to the third point, that is complete centralization and decentralization is not feasible. Now, here's where Henry Fayol actually emphasizes of the fact of decentralization. Now, decentralization is the opposite of centralization, that is giving power to the lower level of management to make decisions for the organization. Now, some complete centralization and decentralization is not feasible because it would cost a lot and it would affect the business a lot. So that's the principle of centralization in management. Now, coming to the next principle, that is the scalar chain. Scalar chain refers to the chain of superiors ranging from ultimate authority to the lowest authority. Now, any order, instruction, messages, request, explanations that need to follow the scalar chain. Now, in order to make this explanation even more simpler, just think of scalar chain as a hierarchy or the chain of commands. Now, think of a situation you are working as a employee in a company and you have a manager and your manager has a superior that would be your super boss, right? So now if you found out any issue or you have to raise any complaint or you have any authorization that needs to happen and you don't go to your manager and you break the chain of command and go to your super boss and get it things done or you address the issue that you found out. Now your super boss goes and meets to your manager and your manager is not at all aware of whatever you have told to your super boss. And that's how a lot of chaos and confusion comes in. So that's why Henry Fayol actually emphasized on the scalar chain methodology, like this, as a principle to actually follow the chain of superiors from ranging from ultimate authority to the lowest authority. Now, in cases of an emergency, this chain can be broken so that the message gets passed faster, right? So that's what is scalar chain as a principle of management. So moving on to the next principle, we have order. Now, order is concerned with the arrangement of things and people. Now, order of things is known as the material order, and the order or placement of people are known as the social order. Right? Now, you might be wondering why order is kept as a principle of management. Now, the order of resources, both people and the things, are essential because any misplacement can cause misuse or disorder and it can in return affect the company's business. So that's why order is an important principle of management. So next up in principles of management, we have equity. Now, if you just Google down the word equity, you will have two meanings and one of them would say fair and equal. Now that's exactly what we have here. Employees should be treated fair and equal. Now, managers should be impartial while dealing with their subordinates. So, as a manager, you might have to take up decisions in making promotions or appraisals or transfer orders to your subordinates. So, you shouldn't have any partial opinion with regards to their age, sex, or religion or the caste, right? So, there shouldn't be any discrimination on these categories. So, now while checkboxing upon these key points, you shouldn't assume that equity has the absence of sternness. Now, as a manager, you will have to take some important harsh calls. So basically, that important call wouldn't be as pleasing to your subordinates. But as a manager, you will have to take these calls. So that's how equity has become a principle of management by treating your employees or subordinates fair and equal and also not compromising on the sternness while taking any important decisions for accomplishing the organization's goals. Now, next principle we have here is stability of tenure of personnel. Now, coming to the first point, that is, employees should be given a moderate amount of time to get used to the job role, right? So, any new employee or any new joinee who's coming to a new company must be given ample amount of time to settle down and get used to the job role. That's what is the first point letting us know. Now, second point, employees should not be moved frequently from one job position to another. Now, when the new joinee comes in and he gets used to the job role, and then when he starts working on it, you should not actually alter away the position of the employee from one position to another frequently. Now, by this, the employee is also getting irritated because he's been assigned different tasks and he has to learn different tasks each and every time a job role is shifted, right? So, the stability is very important and he should be given one specific role that is assigned for. Now, stability of job creates team spirit and also quality and quantity of the work increases. Now, when you have that internal belief that the company would be taking care of me, and if you have that stability of job, when your employer actually provides you that stability, then you can see that the quality and the quantity of the work that is getting done by the people increases, and the work increases and the efficiency increases. And that's why stability of tenure of personnel is an important principle of management. So next up in principles of management, we have initiative. Now, employees should be encouraged to take up initiatives. Okay, so employees can actually broach in the formulation or implementation of any work or any solution to any problem that the organization is facing. So, as managers, you should always encourage the employees to come up with new initiatives that would actually increase the bonding amongst the people, or you could actually solve any project's problems, or which would actually help the company's organizational goals to be achieved earlier. So while doing this, it develops an atmosphere of trust and understanding, right? So while we are actually taking up initiatives or the ideas that are coming from your employees, there are circumstances that employees think the company is taking good care of them and actually considering their ideas, and that's how you build trust and understanding with your employees. So that's why initiatives comes as a principle of management. So now coming to the last and final principle of management that was given by Henry Fayol, and that is aspirate the corps. Now you might be wondering what exactly is this. It just simply refers to team spirit. Now, there was an earlier culture amongst the manager by dividing their subordinates into competitive groups and giving them a similar goal and telling them to achieve this as fast as possible. Now, while dividing employees into competitive groups, it might destroy the morale of the employees because both the groups who are getting splitted wants to win or who wants to give their managers a good impression that they can get it completed as fast as possible, right? So while doing this, there may be a lot of conflict and that would actually destroy the morale of the employees. Now, coming to the third point, that is, employees should be given a chance to improve their performance. Now, as managers, you might come across a lot of employees that are well performing, they are good performing, outstandingly performing, and there are few who does not perform up to the mark. Now, you need to understand that you have to provide them the opportunity to actually tell them that you have been not working properly, and this is a chance that I'm giving to you to improve your performance. So, you should actually provide your employees and entrust your employees that you could perform very well. So, that's the third point for you. Now, next up, we have employees must be reminded of their accomplishment and let them know their importance of their work. Now, why is this point really important? Because employees must be reminded of their accomplishments. Because in a working culture, most of them actually don't understand the importance of work they do. So, as a manager, you must remind your employees that whatever work you have been assigned and what you have completed is actually working towards to achieving the organization goals. So, you need to make them interest them that whatever work that employee has done is so good that they are helping them reach the organization's goal easier, right? So always try to motivate the employees by reminding that what excellent job or what excellent work they have done in their projects or works they are assigned for. So with that, we have completed all the 14 principles of management. All right, guys. So if you have reached the summary part of this course, I am pretty much sure that you have got a good understanding of now what management is. So here we'll be just summarizing on what all topics that were covered in this course. Now, in the start, we were actually understanding what is management, and we also understood it by a definition and also an example. Then we moved ahead with the five major functions of management, where we discussed planning, leading, staffing, then organizing, and also the last one is controlling, right? So we were discussing each of these functions individually with different examples. Then we moved ahead with the different levels of management, wherein we discussed the different levels that are categorized into the top level of management, the middle level of management, and the low level of management. Herein we discuss each of these people who are responsible in the top level of management, what are their roles and responsibilities, etc., respectively, right? Then we started off with our main topic, that is the 14 principles of management, wherein we discuss each and every principle till from the start, that is from 1 to 14 individually, and understood what impact does it actually do to an organization who is not following it, right? So that's how we ended up with the course on 14 principles of management. I hope you guys have enjoyed the course along with me. So that's all from my side, and I'm Edwin Thomas. Hope to see you with the next one soon.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoy this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video for any queries or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments.